PLRB presents insightful presentations, each just 15 minutes.
Our final presentation today will be the power of authenticity, and it will be presented by Terence Kadlec of MC Consultants Incorporated. Mr. Kadlec is a licensed professional engineer in 18 states who has provided testimony through sworn affidavits, depositions, and trial as a practicing forensic engineer and expert witness. Mr. Kadlec regularly collaborates with industry professionals and is a frequent presenter at industry seminars across the United States on the topics of forensic engineering, expert witness testimony, and construction defect claims. So join me in welcoming Terence Kadlec to the stage.
So when I was asked to do this, I thought about what's a great topic, and being authentic is one of those. Now, I'm an engineer, as I heard. It's embarrassing to hear your own credentials sometimes read out to you. But I would so rather look at my shoes as an engineer than talk to everybody in here. So the lights in my face almost fit appropriately that I don't see everybody. But I think that I've changed who I am through the years. So I think about one thing about who I am today. I'm a family guy. If anyone sees me on social media, my kids are around a lot. My wife comes into play every so often. She doesn't want to be her face put out there. But I talk about what I do a lot with my family. I actually get ideas from them. So when I said authenticity, I want to talk about why it's important to me and everything with that. My wife said to me, "Are you going to do a presentation about be more like Terence?" I'm like, "No, that's not the intent." But I do feel like we should absolutely be more authentic to who we are. And that's really where this goes. I never thought about it much. I sat at a cubicle in an office when I started in engineering in New York City. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it. Now I'm remote. I love that too. But I love seeing people in person. But something that I didn't think about until my daughter was a couple years old, my second child, typical second child. She's crazy. She's much different from the first. So I would say to my dad, "Man, she's just crazy." And he'd go, "No, that's just Macy being Macy." And for some reason, that still resonates with me today because I lost my dad. And that's like one of those legacies that I think he left with me. And I just think, just be yourself. We talk about everyone just being yourself. So as an engineer expert, I have to be very authentic. I have to be truthful. And I think about the opposite of the truthful integrity side of things. Does anyone like being called a phony? Does anyone be called a liar? I mean, I'm literally speaking about, have you lied today here at PLRB? It's a whole presentation. It's excellent. But no one wants to be called a counterfeit, all those things. So we look at that and think, I know phonies. I am a huge Seinfeld fan. I actually lived the Seinfeld life. I moved to New York City. I drove a black Saab convertible. Those are all true. But I think of Mike Moffat, the parking space episode, where Jerry hates being called a phony, and he wants to confront that person because he got called a phony. No one wants to be a phony. We want to be who we are. And I think ultimately that's what we all try to strive to be in our jobs. And now that I'm changed from being a design professional behind a desk to becoming an expert, to basically meeting people like you all, claims professionals, attorneys, other experts, I have to put out who I am. I have to be seen as honest. I sit in a witness box in trial. I am judged. So I think about why be so negative? Let's all strive to be positive. If anyone saw flim flam, my favorite word in the word cloud from the negatives, but the idea of authenticity being who you are, genuine, original. If you ever ask somebody, describe me to somebody, I've been described as authentic, and I pride myself in that because what I do, again, as a witness, expert witness, I have to be. I sit there and get judged by a jury of my peers or a jury of their peers, however that might be, the trier of fact, but they're judging what I say. If I come across inauthentic, disauthentic, whatever, the opposite of everything up on this screen, they're not going to believe me. So the idea of all of us and what we do, we should strive for that authenticity to be real. I've found myself when I do interviews with candidates to be very open. I probably overshare to the point of maybe I do have to get dialed back a little bit sometimes, but I'm just me. Because I say, in 6 months, when they've been on board for 6 months, I think I was pretty accurate. I'm pretty open. Here's the struggles, here's the positives. Let's talk and be real. Because no one wants to be lied to. No one wants to be baited into something that it's not really for them. So the idea of just how all this works in our actual jobs goes far beyond just, being truthful. It's a soft skill. I mean, we talk about soft skills and sharpening our those kind of tools in our toolbox, right? It's very important. So I like to think about this as what we should be striving for. We want to be described as all these things. I love Venn diagrams. I'm an engineer, right? You got to put a Venn diagram in a presentation. Now it works for me today. So here we got the blue one. Who are you? And then the green one's what do you do? In that middle, where you overlap, is really your authentic behavior. That's the real you. But when the opposite of that is the alien behaviors. Because if you're acting like you're basically putting out something that's not real. And I think that is something that's very hard. And you could probably think of TV shows and satires and comedians that really go down that path of keeping up with all your lies. Again, the Seinfeld. I can go back to Seinfeld every day. But you got to keep up with your lies. If you got to keep up with the stories you tell, it literally turns into a 90-minute ethics session for anyone that wants to join today. I always think of it this way. Do who you are. Be more yourself. And I think others really trust you, believe you. And it's one of those things where I feel like you can walk away from and be proud of at the end of the day. I mean, like I said, I'm a pretty open book. And sometimes it's to my own detriment. I know in my job, I have to dial it back because I obviously have clients and I'm representing a party and I'm doing those kind of things. You can't just overshare. There's limits here. I'm not just saying just be honest and, be overly honest, but be who you are. I think it's easier to just track. And we live in this age now, social media. I think social media has changed so much of our lives because I'm an elder millennial. I'm 41, almost 42. And I grew up without social media. It kind of came on at the tail end of college. I mean, I had to sign up for Facebook with an EDU address. I had to go get an alumni address to go get that, or LinkedIn. Sorry, not Facebook. I don't know, I think it was Facebook. Take that back. But now we're in this stage where LinkedIn is like our Facebook for our work. And it becomes very social at times. It becomes very technical at times. People share good articles, good case studies, claims, updates, and things like that. It's a valuable tool, and I think to the point of not being in person all the time, it's a good way for us to stay in connected to our network. Because we see each other every year at every other conference, but sometimes we don't see each other until a year from now. So it's nice to stay in touch with some of your friends, some of your industry colleagues, some of your clients, things like that. But the opposite of that is how dangerous it can be. Because I've now had to go scrub social media profiles for candidates. Because when you start seeing them treat LinkedIn, for instance, as I'm going to go talk politics, you're like, well, I'm not going to hire this person because that's a little bit oversharing. And if you're willing to put that out there, maybe I'm not going to bring you onto the team or something like that. So again, there's that limit of be yourself, but be yourself professionally maybe as well. But you have to remind everybody that that's not even what's worse. Because we've now gone through social media and what's even real about it anymore? I mean, I don't even know if I could find a real study to represent how accurate people are, like what they're telling you is really it. Because I think the thing about Facebook is like, what, 15%? It's like your best, it's the highlight reel. You're not seeing the struggles, you're not seeing things like that. And even the folks that are just loving their job, but secretly they're looking. You're not real, it's not real. I'm not saying it's not appropriate, but use caution. But I say use caution even more now with AI. AI is like the buzzword, artificial intelligence. Everyone wants to talk about AI, right? You say AI, you're kind of interested. It's keynote worthy, and it's good. It's really intriguing. It's very entertaining. But I literally asked AI to write me a 10-minute TED Talk about how to be authentic, and it can do it. And it did it. It says duration 10 minutes. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's just in my pocket, and it did it on the walk over here, because I was thinking about it. I didn't write this on the walk over here, but I could have just read off a teleprompter, 10 minutes. It was actually pretty good. That's what was scary. It's probably better than what I do. But I'm real. I'm just me. I can stutter, I can look at my shoes, I can get nervous sitting here with lights in my face, things like that. That's me. I'm not reading off of ChatGPT. But the other parts about AI is how dangerous it can be with folks wanting to be real. We talked about this in another class where if you use ChatGPT and you ask it to, hey, write me a claim summary, write me an expert report, you can actually ask it to do those things. And it does a pretty fair job of laying things out. That's scary, because when you're an expert, you're a claims professional attorney, that's not even you anymore. That's some open source generative AI creating a document. And again, they're pretty good. They're dangerous, because as we know, it can be wrong. You sign up for ChatGPT, it says, can be inaccurate, right there, right in the front. So we have to be careful what's actually real. And I always think of the last piece of this of like the goddess of justice. And I think about the trier of fact. Those are kind of the things that I think about, like being real. That's kind of what I'm held to, because my job is as an expert, I'm an engineer. You know, I have my own ethics that I have to abide by. I'm an ethics nerd. I just love it for some reason. I don't know why. But I talk about it at home. I bounce these things off my kids. My kids are like, get out of here, Dad, that's boring. But my wife is actually one of my go-tos, which is really funny. And never call your spouse, if you talk about work, a layperson. Because I was like, she goes, I'm not a layperson. I listen to everything about concrete and buildings and windows and everything else. But I'm just real. I was like, well, I didn't mean it like that. So be it. But the funniest part about it all is I can sit here today and say, that's not even me. That's AI generated me. And I had fun with it. It's pretty good. It got rid of the gray. You know, I liked that. And it made me really muscular, because who has time to work out? So my whole takeaway for today is simple. Just be yourself, within limits, professional. Just embrace more of that, because I think people connect better when you're just real. No one wants to be fake. No one wants to be a phony. Be the real, authentic self. And I think we all, I don't know, get along a little better. So, thank you.